Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video with me. And in this video I want to talk quickly and explain from my own words my interpretation of what I believe one consciousness to be. So one consciousness from my own interpretation is that we are all one, meaning that we are all ourselves, experiencing ourselves everywhere and everywhere that we go. So how this happens is through our perception of things. So we are perceiving our reality in a way that we have believed our reality to be. So really anything that is showing up in our reality is not concrete, it's not final, because it's all about our thoughts and how we are going to continue to consciously perceive it. So when we are consciously creating, the topic of one consciousness is an important thing to bring into your awareness, because it means that we want to be looking at our belief system. We also want to be looking at the thoughts that we are telling ourselves day in and day out. And we also want to be looking at how we are perceiving people in our reality and places in our reality, and also how we are perceiving ourselves in relation to people, places and things in their reality as well too. So how you interact with the person, they are always going to show up according to how you are believing them to show up. So if you have unconscious beliefs that are down to the core about a certain area in your life, so let's say for example you are creating a relationship with someone, but you have unconscious beliefs about things that haven't worked out favorably for you before. Over a period of time, if you are not aware of these unconscious beliefs, you are going to show up in a way that you will start to be perceiving that person to show up for you, and you will be expecting them to show up for you in the way that you believe that the unconscious beliefs that you have about relationships. So this is why we are changing our thoughts. This is why we're overriding the old story. So if you have a specific person who you have a history with or an old story with, it's important to go back and to kind of override that story, because when you are, let's say for example, you're manifesting them back into your reality, anytime you have an old story about somebody, if it's not addressed and thought of in a favorable way, you will kind of automatically be going back to the old story, and that's not what you want to create. You want to create a new story. So when we are consciously creating and using our affirmations, the reason why we may get triggered is because we are identifying too much with the old story. But we only identify with the old story because we are not continuing to work on our beliefs or work on our mind and our body. Now, I do want to say that when we are consciously creating, that we are becoming more aware of our thoughts, and because we're becoming more aware of our thoughts, we're elevating in consciousness, meaning that the negative thoughts and the negative feelings and behaviors are kind of all dissolving away the more that we work on our self-concept and our self-love. So the most important thing to work on is our self-concept and our self-love, because basically you are yourself experiencing yourself. So if you have somebody coming into your reality, let's say you worked on your beliefs and you know that you are somebody who is always in a committed relationship with someone who prioritizes you, loves you, wants you and only you are never going to really identify with, if let's say if they show up unfavorably, because if they show up unfavorably, you're going to be like, oh well, I'm actually somebody who's committed to, and I am somebody who is loved and wanted and desired. So you're not really even going to be able to give that attention, because that is what you ultimately believe within yourself. And so it comes to this kind of peace within yourself, because you start to not be attached to the people, places and things. So when you're not attached to the people, places and things, and you are really just operating from your true identity, from the identity that you have been creating for yourself, this is how the people, places and things show up in your life. Because if somebody shows up unfavorably, but you have a real core down belief about you being always in a great relationship with who you want, whenever you want, and they always show up well for you, that you won't be given that any attention, and then you start to perceive them in a way that your thoughts will still be making healthy assumptions about them, and it'll be genuine. So when we are consciously creating it and we are wanting to create a result with someone, but our thoughts are not as genuine, when we start to affirm for it and it's not as genuine, we're not really kind of truly believing it, this is how we get triggered. But when we work on ourselves and we start to work on our confidence and our belief within ourselves, the moment we start to affirm for this again, we start to see it as a possibility that this person is this way, because we're more confident in ourselves and we have more self-love within ourselves. So this is why we're creating everything in our reality from our self-concept, really. And this is why it doesn't even matter if you have a specific person, whether you use their name or not, because they will show up in your reality. So when you are creating a new reality with a specific person, the more you tell yourself things about how great you are and you're confident, you build your confidence and everything up, it'll just be a byproduct for them to show up in that way, because your subconscious mind will always look for the trueness. So when you have a desire for someone, and if you have a desire for someone and that desire is still there even while you are continuing to build your self-concept, whether you are saying their name or not, your subconscious mind is going to relate all of this to them and attract them into your reality, because it's your subconscious mind, it's all you that's experiencing it. So when you have a particular desire for someone, even if, that's what I say, even if you're not using their name, and people probably even notice this as well too, when you work on your self-concept, you might even have a story yourself where you have worked on your self-concept and your confidence, and somebody shows up in your life and you were like, man, I wasn't even affirming for them, but they were the one that I wanted, and they showed up. And so that's why those things happen, because it's all to do with your perceptions and how you are subjectively experiencing your reality, meaning that you are the one that is, when you are perceiving your reality out, it's basically like a projector of a movie. So when you have the big projector of a movie and it shoots the movie out, that's basically what your eye is. You're the observer, you're the projector when you look out into your reality, and everything is showing up in the way that you are perceiving them. So you could be I can be one person sitting here, somebody can be sitting here beside me, and we can be both looking out into the same reality and seeing a completely different world through the thoughts and beliefs that we are telling ourselves every single day. So the way I like to also kind of connect with this is to know that we are all from the one source. So when you think about yourself in this way, you realize that you are not the mind and you are not the body, which is a mantra that I've recently learned as well from Ishra Yoga. And it's actually a great mantra to keep in your mind, because it detaches you then from anything that's going on, because you know that this is just a thought universe. You are creating from your thoughts. Now I want to bring up the topic as well too of emotions. So when we have emotions, we're human, we're always going to have emotions, and sometimes when we are really triggered, we're really feeling those emotions within. I am always somebody who's going to say to let it out, but to balance it as well too. We don't want to be always sitting in these emotions either. We want to be balancing them. So we want to differentiate what or how we actually release these emotions. And for me, along my journey, I started off in the way where I would just literally use my thoughts to get over it, but it kind of didn't work for me, because it would always come back in a more kind of a more impactful way. Really, I would feel it more maybe in a few days, and I just burst out into tears, and so that didn't really work for me. So what is working for me is basically facing up to the fear of the emotion, because what I tell myself is this is just a bodily emotion. And really, when we experience negative emotions, they're not they're not real in a sense, and I don't want to discredit this for what anything or what anyone is going through, but the emotion is always coming up from a memory of the past, meaning that it's already gone, it's non-existent. And so when the emotion comes up, I kind of tell myself that this is just my body memorizing something from the past. It's not fully familiar with what it is that I am telling it now, but it will get familiar the more that I face up to it and I let it go. And this is kind of working for me a lot more. As I said in the previous video, I literally get over things so much quicker now within a few minutes of allowing myself to feel what it is that I'm feeling and then letting it go, knowing that it's not going to manifest, because emotions don't manifest. It's only our thoughts that are ever manifest. This is a thought universe, and our thoughts are actually electric. So our thoughts are creating a kind of electric field, I suppose you could say. Oh, that's what they do. We live in this whole universe that is a lot deeper and a lot wider and a lot more vast than we could ever comprehend. And so we are always bigger than the emotion, because the emotion is just part of the body. So if the emotion is just part of the body, then allow the body to feel it, because we are human and we're here to experience our human bodies. So we have to accept that, and we have to say to ourselves, well, my body's feeling this emotion, so I'm going to allow it to feel it, knowing that it won't manifest, because it's only my thoughts that manifest. So when a negative thought comes up, understand that it's your dominant thoughts that manifest. So a thought is simply it's just a thought. It is you're bigger than them, meaning that when you think of how vast this universe is, and knowing that you are the source that came from this universe, that you are connected to the whole lot of it, that you are billions of atoms and everything within you, and that you are a lot bigger than this thought. So, and you're a lot bigger than your body as well too. You are ultimately a higher consciousness. But how we separate ourselves from this is when we believe that the negative thought is bigger than us, but it's not. So the negative thought, when it comes up, tell yourself this. Say that it's only my dominant thoughts that create, and I am the one who is creating my reality through the intent and the power that I put behind my thoughts. So I don't really want to create a experience where I'm sitting in states of negativity. So what can I do here now to pull myself through this? And so I can feel my emotions. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm having an emotion. Let me cry it out. Let me let it go. It's okay. I can hold myself and I can tell myself that everything is going to be okay. And then as I do that and I release all that tension and all that feeling within, then that is gone. It's in the past. I don't have to experience it again. If it comes up again, then I say, no, I've dealt with that. I have faced the fear of that emotion and that negative thought. So that negative thought is not going to matter, because it's just a thought. It has no bearing on the dominant thoughts that I am creating. So if I am continuing to tell myself one story and then this little negative thought comes up, it's the story that I continue to tell myself that is actually the reality. Because when you are perceiving your reality out here in your 3D reality, it's your dominant thoughts that you are perceiving. When you look into your reality, let's say for example you're walking down the street and you are looking into your reality and you're seeing people, places and things, it's not the negative thought that is actually dominantly creating that reality. It's the dominant thoughts that you have about people, about places, about things. So it's like when you look at a building and maybe it's a shop, maybe it's a pub, and you have that kind of differentiation of what it is. A negative thought could come up and say to you that well, it's not a shop, it's a zoo or whatever, and you'd kind of laugh and say, well, you stop, that's not even true, it's a shop, you know, that kind of way. So that's kind of the way that it goes, is when you have a negative thought, it's irrelevant. It's the power and the intent that you put behind it. So one consciousness is that you are yourself experiencing yourself. You're always going to experience people how you perceive people in your reality. So you have different interpretations of how you perceive someone in your reality, and the more that when you perceive them in this way, that is how they are going to show up. So even if you first meet somebody and you are talking to them or you're having an interaction with them, you are always going to look for the ways that you bond. When you're talking to someone, you're always going to be listening to them unconsciously in a way that is related, that resonates with you. And why do you do this? Because you're the self that's creating the self. And so the more somebody is talking then to you and they start saying things that resonate with you, that you understand, that you are interested in, you start to see that person in a way that, oh my God, that we like the same things. I like this person. We're able to, it's easy to get on with them. But it's only because of you resonating with everything that they say. So it's the same goes when you dislike somebody as well too. If you ever look really closely, it'll be because there'll be something about them maybe that's a little bit triggering, that doesn't resonate with you. But it doesn't resonate with you because it's something within you that you don't like to see in your reality. And when you focus on things that you don't want to see in your reality, you kind of get more of what you're focusing on. So I know it's a bit kind of complex to get your head around, but I hope that I kind of explained it in an easy kind of way to understand. If I haven't, I will actually do another video on it, because sometimes it can be harder to get your head around when you're thinking to yourself, well, if we're all one consciousness, then why is this person separate, or why is that separate? But it's really just because of how we are perceiving separation in our reality. So if you think something is separate, it is separate. But if you think it's not separate, then it's not separate. It's more the thought that you put behind it. So it's the more you think about something. So the more you dominantly think about something is how you are creating, because it's the energy that you are forming, because we are all vibrational beings. We are all one energy, experiencing energy. And this is ultimately how we attract the people, places, and things in our reality, because of what we continue to tell ourselves. So I'm going to leave that video there. And if you have any questions, you can comment down below, and I will chat to you soon.